Hello, nerds. We are rushing against the clock, so we're not going to do a proper intro. This is your week in Nerdom right here on Generally Nerdy. The date is November 8th, and that is an intro. So again, we're going dim. As of the end of this month, we'll be very likely only doing one episode a week, and that episode will very likely only be the Rumor Mill, so you have that. Anyway, music. First up, we have Mastodon giving us a slight update. They're feeling the doom, according to Brann, their drummer. They are about to hit the recording process super hard, again, according to Brann. I don't know what all of that means exactly, but it's super exciting. Next, we have Ozzy released a new song off of his forthcoming new record. The record is called Ordinary Man, due out sometime in July, maybe. And the name of the song, linked below, is Under the Graveyard. And it's okay. If you like Ozzy, you probably will dig this song. It's one of his more mellow, Mama I'm Coming Home style things, but it's not bad. Definitely not as well produced as some of his previous stuff, but, you know, it is what it is. Next, we're talking about Flea. His memoir just got released, and this is just a great way to find out more about one of the greatest bass players in rock and roll ever. Just wanted to throw it out there. It's out there. It's called Acid for the Children, and I can only imagine what the title implies. Next, we are doing a follow-up piece on the My Chemical Romance bit that we talked about a couple episodes ago. Last episode, something. My Chemical Romance is not just doing the one reunion show. They are also headlining the Download Festival in Australia this year. Both days. So, does that mean that there is more in the pipeline from My Chemical Romance? Very likely. Very, very likely. Whether that is new music, I don't know. There has been no indication that they are working on new music. It's just really interesting that they're playing together again. And then our final piece, and the piece I am the most excited about in music for this episode, is Protest the Hero. Are freaking done recording their newest record. They put up a little teaser on their Facebook page, which is linked down in the description. Oh my lord, I'm so excited about this. This sounds like kind of a return to form to the Kazaya and Fortress days, which are arguably their best two records. So, yes, please, and more, thank you. We're going to jump right into news and TV streaming news. First off, we have Hailee Steinfeld talking about Hawkeye and how maybe that might not be a thing that happens. So her direct quote to the Radio Times is, and I quote, "That's not something that's necessarily happening. We're going to wait and find out, I guess." About the Hawkeye series, about her being in the Hawkeye series at the very least. So, even though it's been confirmed that she's the one that's going to take the role, apparently it's still on shaky ground whether or not the series is going to happen. I almost put this in rumor just because there's just people saying, well, it might not happen because Jeremy Renner. It feels a little more solid coming from one of the actors, though. That's why we're talking about it here. So, that's what we've got there. Next, we're talking about The Boys Season 2. Karl Urban has wrapped, according to his Instagram page, has wrapped his filming on Season 2, which means they're probably almost done. They probably have some pickups to do and all that jazz, but by and large, they are done with principal photography and will be moving into post. So we should be seeing Season 2 sooner than I hoped. I didn't think we would see it for another year, but it sounds like we might be seeing it come the end of summer into the fall of next year. So almost a year, but still a few months earlier than anticipated. Next, we're talking about Apple TV, and they have 2 series that have just been announced for a second season already. That is See, the show with Jason Momoa, and For All Mankind, which I'm not exactly familiar with, but this one is just a continuation of the conversation we've been having about how streaming platforms and TV services are greenlighting second seasons before they know what happens, before they know how well received the first season is, because Apple TV is still not officially rolled out. It's just a weird, I don't know. They're really putting a lot of money in this, and they're really banking on these properties, so hopefully they're as good as they think they are. But that's what we've got there. Next and last, we're talking about Kung Fu. For those my age or younger, because this is really even before my time, if you are an elder millennial, you might know about this show. Kung Fu, the David Carradine show that was supposed to be Bruce Lee back in the 70s, but then Carradine got it because Carradine was a white actor, and it was, friggin' racial politics back in the 70s. Well, that show is getting rebooted. And that isn't exactly news, even though I didn't know about this previously. It was going to be, at first I believe I read it was going to be on ABC, and then Fox bought the rights, and now Greg Berlanti and the CW have the rights. So it seems like it is picking up steam on the CW because they have a whole production staff in place now. They have their producers. They have, I believe they have the showrunner. It wasn't Berlanti. I didn't add it to the notes because it's just more important that we're talking about the fact that Kung Fu, which is actually a pretty cool series from the 70s, is getting a reboot by Greg Berlanti. So is this going to be a shared universe with that Walker, Texas Ranger show that we're getting as well? Now let's talk about movies, and continuing with reboots, we have a Scream update. Kind of. It has officially been announced that there is a new Scream project in the works with, what is the name of the production company? Spyglass. With Spyglass Entertainment. No word as to whether or not that is going to be Scream 5 or if it is going to be a reboot for the series, though honestly I feel like it's going to be some sort of Lega-sequel kind of thing. They're going to reboot a lot about it, but they're also going to remember that it's not the first, and so something a la Star Wars is what I feel like we're going to get. That's just my 2 cents though. Next we are talking about The Batman. And this stuff was announced. Honestly, as I was uploading the last episode, I saw 2 of the 3 casting quote-unquote announcements for The Batman, for Matt Reeves' The Batman movie. So these first 2 that we're talking about here are Colin Farrell is in talks to play the Penguin, and Andy Serkis is in talks to be Alfred. Both very interesting, very, very interesting choices. There is a 3rd casting announcement. We're not going to touch on that one here because that one is much less substantiated. There has been no official word that one is actually happening, which is part of the reason I actually knew about the 3rd one before the last episode, but I could not find an actual source for that 3rd one, so it is in the rumor mill. So stay tuned for the rumor mill. But yeah, that's what we've got for the Batman. Next, we have a really, really disheartening piece about James Dean. The old actor who made 3 freaking movies, old I say because he did black and white films, James Dean, not the other James Dean, get your mind out of the gutter. We are talking about the fact that there is a new movie coming out called Finding Jack, in which James Dean is going to star. That's right, the dead actor James Dean, who died over 3 decades ago, 5 decades ago? Man, it's been... was it 70 years ago that he died? I can't remember exactly what it was. It's something ridiculous. But he's going to be in a new movie with all new dialogue, and this is going to be an exercise in futility because this is the stupidest thing I have heard in a long time that has to do with CGI and creating new characters. Just insane. I didn't even write down the details about it because I just wanted to talk about the fact that we are still not in a place where I feel like CGI is believable enough that you can do this. Yes, they did it in Star Wars, but that is because the actor who played that character, those two characters actually, were no longer with us to do those roles. And you could recast, but then that doesn't feel as authentic as we are to a point where you can have CGI as an obvious stand-in. But if you're trying to sell it as the actor, I feel like it's just not good enough. The uncanny valley is a thing, man. Google it. Now let's talk about gaming news. Again, trying to go quick. Gaming news, we have PlayStation 5. Developers are saying that PlayStation 5 is the easiest PlayStation to develop for ever, which means we're going to get even more freaking PlayStation games on the PlayStation 5 than we have in previous generations because developers say it's easy, so therefore development time should be going faster and they have more time to develop and blah, 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 blah. More PlayStation domination of the freaking, yeah. So, I mean, it's cool, but I wish Microsoft would be able to figure that out for their Xbox as well. Next, we're talking about those Banjo-Kazooie rumors, and they have been squashed, actually. So, the developer, Yooka-Laylee, the developer Yooka-Laylee, who has been rumored to be developing this Banjo-Kazooie game, said officially that no, they are not developing this game, and also they didn't get bought out by Microsoft, but that part we weren't super worried about. Then the last piece and the most interesting piece, again, in this section is Overwatch news. We have word that Overwatch 2 is going to be backward compatible. So if you have Overwatch 2 and you want to play PvP, you can play PvP against people who are still playing on Overwatch 1. There are other game modes that are exclusive to Overwatch 2, so obviously there is still a reason to buy Overwatch 2, but otherwise maps, characters, all of that is going to be shared between the two games. Very interesting strategy. This is the first time I've heard of something like this, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And then our final section, well, no. We still got rumors, but our final news section is comic books. So first up, we have X-Force. Black Tom Cassidy is apparently a freaking good guy now. X-Force #1 is on shelves. Go read it right now because Benjamin Percy's doing some really interesting stuff. Next, we have another update from Tom King. This is nothing to do with whatever. Then Tom King is teasing some sort of Watchmen work because he didn't screw up Batman enough. Now he has to take over a Watchmen. I don't know. But interesting to see what will happen with that, though it's very likely just his return to the Button storyline. So, yeah. And then Batman 82, speaking of Tom King, revealed some spoiler, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spoilers. Thomas Wayne has been the one orchestrating this whole Bane nonsense, and not just is he the big villain, but he freaking kills Bane in this issue, and Tom, you're not gonna go out on top, bro. No matter how shocking you try and make your story, it's just not gonna happen. Then our final piece for comic books is the X-Men. X-Men number 4, 5, and 6 are getting rewritten. And so the solicitations that came out last month and the month before no longer valid because they're completely changing them. And that also means they've been pushed back. So X-Men number 4 will now be out on January 1st. Number 5 will be out on the 15th. And number 6 will be out 3 weeks after that instead of the regular 2 on February 5th. And that's what we've got for comic books. Now let's talk about rumors. And the rumor mill this week is average size. It's not huge, but it's also not just one like it was last time. So, rumor mill, we have the other casting thing for the Batman is Matthew McConaughey is reported to be in talks to play Two-Face. So all 3 of these casting things, Colin Farrell, Andy Serkis, and Matthew McConaughey, feel very odd. Feel like these characters are a little second fiddle for these actors they want to put them in. The only one that I feel like kind of makes sense is Serkis as Alfred, but Matthew McConaughey as Two-Face, probably not. And definitely Colin Farrell as the Penguin. That is the worst idea for casting I think I've heard since I can't even think of one Gal Gadot. There you go. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I know the Wonder Woman movie was really good. I feel like a large part of that is in spite of Gal Gadot. But there you go. So that's what we have for rumors on the Batman. Next we have rumors for Star Wars. No more leaks. We are not explicitly discussing leaks. We are only discussing the fact that leaks happened. This is not leaks though. This is Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy is now rumored to not be happening at all. Actually, Rian Johnson is no longer a part of Lucasfilm, which is kind of going in the face of some of the tweets that we've gotten from Lucasfilm and Rian Johnson in the last couple of weeks. So very interesting rumor. Again, just rumor. Next we have the final, this is the last time I'm bringing this rumor up because it just needs to die. But Jason Momoa says that he has seen the Snyder Cut and also says that Snyder took time out of his freaking schedule to finish this movie that will never see theaters, nor will it see a digital or streaming or whatever release from Warner Brothers. I don't buy it. Momoa can be trolling us all he wants. I do not believe that Snyder actually did this. So again, final time we were talking about the Snyder Cut of the Justice League because if, and that is a gigantic if it does exist, we will never see it. So why waste our time? Next we are talking about Birds of Prey, and this one is a leak. So there was a leak for Birds of Prey. It's not exactly a detailed leak. It is plot leaks. It is synopsis-ish because they have been doing test screenings, and some of those test screeners have taken to Reddit to post the things that happen in the movie, and it sounds like audiences by and large, test audiences by and large, appreciated what happened in the movie. They liked the movie by and large, but if you go through and find them, again, not super hard to find, but if you go through and find these leaks and read them for yourself, there's a lot about this that's kind of when it comes to the actual fandom, when it comes to people who read these freaking books. And there's a weird John Wick correlation in this too that feels kind of forced by just reading the synopsis, so I don't know what to make of it. There is still a chance for this to get fixed though, because this is just test screening, so they could go back and reshoot and do all of that stuff. So that is also a possibility. And then our final rumor mill is the fact that maybe that Captain Britain movie isn't going to happen at all because they're going to be doing an Excalibur movie that will have Captain Britain in it, presumably played by Henry Cavill, if the previous rumor is to be believed. That expands that scope a little bit. Also, the reason I believe this one actually has legs is because this also expands the MCU internationally, gets more international appeal because Captain Britain obviously is British. But that's what we have for rumors, and aren't they just so juicy? That is the end of the episode, guys. What did I miss? What should we talk about in the next one? Remember, we are going dim as of the end of this month, so I will resort down to one episode a week, if even that, and that episode will only be rumors. So that is what's going on the channel. What should we talk about in the next one? There is a let me know in the comments down below. There's a website, jellynerdy.net. There's a Patreon, patreon.com/jellynerdy. Go to those things, support the channel, join me in the conversation, all of that stuff. All of the usual stuff. If you follow me behind your nerd news, you want to catch up, there's links there. You can do all of the things. Thank you guys for very, very, very much for watching. And before we go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.